Hello, 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 beautiful blessed ones. It's your Triple G here, Donna Salee, certified transformational life and dream builder coach, motivational and empowerment speaker, workshop and book club facilitator, extremely soon to be best-selling author, and the founder of Life Destiny Solutions, where the life you're living connects with the destiny your soul desires to express. I am so thrilled to have you here to this episode of Women, Wisdom, and Wine live segment, which is a place where women gather virtually every week to have candid conversations about their experience with life, healing, growth, and transformation. Because I truly believe that if you are alive, you have wisdom to share that can help someone else. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for your love and support. I thank you from my whole heart. Please stick around to the end. I have some very big announcements. And if you are a new viewer, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming in. Hopefully you'll come back. You'll find value in this live segment. And I want you to stick around to the end, not only to hear the big announcements, but also to find out how you can find out more about me and about Life Destiny Solutions. And while you're on my website, you'll be able to download my free guide, 5 Steps to Begin Living a Life You Truly Love. So before we get started, I want to know what you're sipping on tonight. Send me your comments. Let me know what you're sipping on tonight. I am sipping on a South African red blend. You know, I love my red wine. So come on in. Let's get this party started. All right, all right, all right. I am so glad you are here once again. Tonight, we are going to be talking to one of my triple G's, one of my besties, my sister from another mister, Miss Holly Stewart. She is a happily married mother of 4 with 1 child still at home. She's an adjunct professor of accounting at a local community college, where her part-time hours allow her to care for her mother and homeschool her son for the last year. She's learned how to manage 2 households. 2. We can't do one, some of us. 2 households, and advocate for her mother's needs during more than one crisis, as well as balance her home life in a healthy marriage. It hasn't been easy, but she's had plenty of lessons learned and advice to share. Hence, her being on the show tonight, Women, Wisdom, and Wine. All right, y'all, give a great virtual welcome and hug to my bestie, Miss Holly Stewart. Hey!
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And you asked what we're sipping on tonight. I have a cold one in my hand.
All right!
Water.
All right.
I'm a real partier. My hubby brought that in just a few minutes ago. He knows how to keep me in here.
Friend, I should have known that's what you meant when you said a cold one.
Yep.
Well, I am so thankful that you are here tonight. I know that you have some great wisdom to share. Somebody said, "Good morning, sunshine." I don't know where you are. It says Facebook user, but tell me who you are and where you are, that it's morning there. And oh, that's probably my friend. He's sending tight hugs. I bet I know who that is.
All right.
I wanted to kind of jump right in. Is your husband talking to you?
It's my son. Come here.
Oh,
Might as well meet one of the reasons that I'm having this
well,
segment.
I see him fixing his hair back there.
That's
Hey,
Kenny.
Hey, Kenny. Good to see you. Gosh, I remember when he was just a little
It
boy.
was Aunt Donna. Donna?
And Dono. And
Dono.
Dono.
I keep saying it right or wrong. Dono.
And Dono. Yes, I'll never forget that. Oh, you're in Japan. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why it is morning. Well, good morning to you, sunshine.
Yeah,
So I
good
want to
morning.
go ahead and get started because I do I know that there are a lot of things. I believe that you're going to have a lot of good wisdom to share. And I want to first talk about what exactly is the sandwich generation. I had never heard that term.
You didn't?
And so, yeah, so I wanted to kind of just talk about that, other than it being the obvious. I mean, now that I know your subject, but
Yeah.
where did you get that from? And tell me a little bit
Well,
about
it was a term that I'd heard before, and just not too long ago, my son went back to in-person learning, and I was talking to some of the staff when I turned in his paperwork, and was talking about all the different things because it was somebody that I graduated with that works at the school, and we were just kind of catching up for a minute, and she said, "Oh boy," after I told her about my mother and of course Kenny, she said, you're the middle of a cookie is what she said. And I thought, what? And then it clicked, sandwich. I
that.
said,
That's
oh
right.
yes,
That's
the
right.
sandwich generation. So
Yes.
that's just anyone who is taking care of a generation above and a generation below at the same time. There are a lot of adults in our age group that are grandparents and they're raising their grandchildren or
Mhm,
taking care
mhm,
of a significant amount of their time.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and then I also had a friend who, the lady he married, together, they took care of her grandmother. So it could be a parent, a grandparent, aunts, uncles, even cousins. I have a cousin right now who's staying with another
Pull your
cousin.
Holly, pull your
Oh,
mic in front of you because I can hear it.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's hard to
Sorry.
hear you. No, it's
Yeah,
okay. It's okay.
I have a cousin who's taking care of another cousin. So, but that's not sandwiched, but she's still taking care
Still.
of someone older than her and a baby.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And I think, I found it interesting because of your accounting and finance background. Originally I had talked to you about coming on here because when I first was polling about the show, somebody mentioned, talking about budgets and, all
yeah.
that unfun stuff that most of us don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But I thought of you immediately because of that. But when you talked about all the information that you have learned
Yeah.
through your mom's struggles and all of that, so I wanted to just allow you to kind of just tell us about some of that. And while you're doing that, tell us about some of the hardest struggles and the biggest joys that you've encountered while caring, especially while caring for your aging mother. When
Yeah.
you're caring for an aging parent, there's struggle and there's got to be some joy to be able to give back. So talk a little bit
Oh,
about
there is for sure.
that.
Um, my father passed away going on 16 years ago. So my mom's been single for
Mhm.
quite a while, and we've kept close tabs on her, to make sure, like, if there's anything she needs, my husband and I and my brother and sister-in-law, we kind of keep tabs on her and, just keeping her company, if nothing else. The pandemic that we've had the last year, that's been the hardest because she's in a very delicate age group, and we became her primary entertainers, so to speak. And but what really
Pull your mic.
initially?
No, pull your mic in front of you because I think it's rubbing on your shirt or something when
Oh,
you're
okay.
moving. And so it's, yeah, it's
Oh,
muffling
sorry.
you. I want to hear you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
How's
that's
that?
better.
All right.
That's
I
great.
think I was jiggling too.
That's
um,
okay.
she she actually about a year and a half ago fell and broke her ankle. Um, she fell at a hospital. Ironically, we were there for some other reason for some paperwork. But then we whisked her into the ER, and her life has forever changed. She's recovered from that, but that became the first case where we had to full time help her out.
Mm-hmm.
And that um, from there, she had surgery for her ankle. And, while she was in the hospital, she had a bowel obstruction. And then she ended up almost dying from that because they had released her. I said she was in the hospital, but they released her to the nursing home, and they weren't catching it that there was a problem. And so my brother and I kind of had to go and fight her battle, be her mouth, be her speaker, and say, look, there's a problem. She was really sick. She couldn't keep anything down. And then finally we got her over to the ER. She was at a nursing home that's attached to an emergency room or a hospital. So we
Mm-hmm.
got her in and got her seen, and right away they knew. They did a couple of tests and figured it out. So she had two surgeries back to back. One of the things that I learned with the elderly and anesthesia that can really play on their memory issues. And
Yes.
so she had some foggy brain for quite a while after that,
Mm-hmm.
which fortunately she was in a nursing home for a while. I say fortunately because she was non-weight bearing, and she couldn't get around, and she has, arthritic knees, so she couldn't walk on her good leg. So she was
Yes.
just kind of homebound.
Yes.
Um, One of the struggles through all of this is the role reversal. You know, I'm grown, but I'm still her baby girl.
Yes.
And she's still my mom. She's still somebody
Yes.
I look up to, at least
Yes.
for advice. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the hardest. Like, I actually have to sometimes say, Mom, you shouldn't eat that. She's diabetic. Or,
Yes.
Mom, we need to take you to the doctor. We've got
Mm-hmm.
to make decisions for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other uh, issue was time management. Now, almost a year to the day of her fall, she had cataract surgery, and that didn't go well. The eye surgery did, but she had trouble getting her heart rate back. So she went to the ER again and had another surgery and had a pacemaker put in. And that was tough because with COVID, I couldn't go in and see the doctors and talk to them. And the
Mm-hmm.
hospital was great. The hospitalist gave me his cell phone number, his personal cell phone number, said, call anytime. If I'm not on duty, I can pass the call on or whatever. But they were great at answering all of our questions and concerns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Let me ask you a couple of questions before we keep going. Don't forget where you
okay.
are
Okay.
because I know how we can get. Okay. So with those two major situations, you know, she had the fall, the ankle issue, but then she had the bowel obstruction. So she had a major surgery. She had a major issue
Yeah.
because at that age, breaking your
Oh,
ankle
yeah.
or anything with your ankle is bad. And then to have the bowel obstruction, I mean, she could have died from that. So you had to advocate. Cataract surgery, pretty standard,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
elderly individuals. But then you come up with another issue from that. So talk to me about how difficult it was to kind of talk her into getting the help she needed, because I know sometimes elderly people, individuals, don't really want all that fuss, and they don't want the
Yeah.
hospitals, and they don't want all the. So
Right.
talk to me about some of the struggle that you had with that, and then on the other end with the advocate, being an advocate.
Right. Well, and she didn't want a pacemaker. She didn't want any additional surgeries. I think part of it was admitting that her body is failing. That was right at the forefront of not wanting that surgery. Um, I'm logical thinker, so I was like, does she need it?
Uh-huh.
Why? why did she do fine? And then all of a sudden, her heart rate is low and then they can't get it back, why isn't
Mhm.
there a pill
Mhm.
for that?
Mhm.
So that's where a few extra phone calls to the hospital and staff. Now she was in Springfield Regional in Springfield,
Mhm.
Ohio. So I got to know the nurse practitioner through the practice where her heart doctor was, and I got to know the names of two or three other nurses, but they were good. They gave me their names, their number to the office, call anytime. So my brother and I brainstormed and came up with like a list of questions to ask. And we even ended up, just by luck, we were um, we talked to mom a lot by phone. She we you know we I could patch my brother in, do a three-way, and we would
Mhm.
talk to mom. And so happens the surgeon came in and told her, "You're going to have cataract surgery in the morning." Da da da. And I'm like, "Hey, call him back. We got questions." And so he did. He came back and answered every one of our questions. And then we
Okay.
realized, okay, it's necessary. Because if it
Yes.
wasn't necessary, hey, let's send her home. you know,
Yes. Yeah.
because
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anyone on the live that is in a situation where they are caring for an elderly parent, or that time is coming soon for you. Um, type something in the chat. Let us know if this is information, and if you have questions, because Holly has learned a lot through
and
this
I'm still
through this
learning.
process. Right, through this process. So I do want to ask the viewers, if any of you are in that situation, or you know may soon be, because of the age of your parents or aunts and uncles, or what have you. Someone had mentioned about nursing homes being a haven for aging parents who are deliberately neglected by
Yes,
reckless children. So there are, and yes, there are elderly people out there that don't have children that can or have the capacity to advocate for them, whether
right.
they're out of country, whether they are reckless, whether that,
Yeah,
whatever. There are
just
aging
not
parents,
able.
and I do
Yeah.
feel for them.
Oh, I do too.
Um, you know,
It's
and
terrible.
yes, yeah.
Well,
So how do you, how has the conversations gone? I mean, your brother has been involved in some of this, and that's
yes,
good. But how,
yes.
talk to us about some of those conversations that you all have had, that you've had to have with her, some of those difficult conversations.
Well, specifically, like, she wanted to get out of the nursing home sooner. Oh, thanks,
Tammy's so
Tammy.
sweet.
um, she, like anyone, wanted out of there. That was her whole goal. So, um, she kind of learned on her end. I know I'm getting off subject just for a second. Um, she found out if she didn't do the therapy in the nursing facility, that Medicare would just stop paying for it. So she played the system. Yes,
Okay.
she's
Okay.
ornery.
Okay.
And
Okay.
she knew she was coming to my house, which surprised me because when she was younger, when dad passed, we were always talking. We all know our fate. So some of those uncomfortable conversations already took place. Hey, if you ever need a place, you can come here. And we had a
Mhm.
house full when I said that. And now we're down to one kid and we have an extra room. And so she was glad to come here. She did not have some good experiences in the nursing home, and I'll leave their name out
Yes.
for that
Yes.
reason. There was one nurse in particular that I literally would drop in different times of the day and surprise them.
Mhm.
They didn't
Absolutely.
abuse her, but they definitely neglected her. They'd leave her sitting in a chair and she was reliant on them to get to the bathroom, things like that. And I know they're understaffed, but I was there enough that I saw them working and I saw the STNAs busting their humps, and they would get to mom, pretty quickly on nights. And I know nights are easier too because a lot of patients are asleep, but we're talking between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so get me back on track. Some of those difficult conversations, uh, actually, my mom has always talked about, her own fate. Like
Mm-hmm.
she, after dad passed, um,
I,
sorry, I
kn-
was just reading that.
don't be distracted.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
just I'm just trying to keep everybody involved in the conversation. Go ahead.
Yes,
I'm
I
sorry.
appreciate that. Yes. So, when my dad passed, that really, that changed her thinking. So she put my brother and I on as a power of attorney, at least on her checking account. If something happened to her, we could take over, we could step in. Now, um, I talked about how she had that double blast of anesthesia and that foggy brain for a few months. Um, I finally came to realize that the woman that was sharp, that took care of everything, went from that to not remembering. There were bills coming due. I got her mail every day, and I'd save them up, and once a week take her checkbook out. She was still able to write checks, so I let her rather than me. Um,
Ooh,
one of the
checks.
things I
That's old school.
yeah, I do it on the internet, but that's like magic to her. So we would sit down once a week and make sure all of her bills were taken care of.
Mhm, mhm.
Another thing that I'd recommend, like with aging parents, know their medical history. I knew my mom very well. I was close with her. You know that. I've always been
Mhm,
close to mom. But no
mhm.
matter how close you are, there's always going to be things that little details that are important.
Oh, no.
I didn't know what all medications she was on. When she had her accident and she's in the ER the first time, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I know she takes this and that, but I didn't know her whole history.
Mhm,
Fortunately, they were able to get it all from the pharmacy that
mhm,
she used.
mhm, mhm.
Um, but those are things that I find key that I would suggest even with my husband and I. I mean, he could be in an accident tomorrow, God forbid, and
Mhm.
at least I know everything he's on, everything he's allergic to,
Yes,
past
yes,
surgeries, past illnesses, um, things that are key.
yes,
Uh, those are
yes.
those are a lot of the uncomfortable conversations, though, that are hard to have, but we need to have them.
Yeah, yeah. Because we think about the uncomfortable conversations about, what happens if you pass? Do you want to be buried or
Right.
cremated? Do you have
Right.
will? Do you have this, that? We have some of those conversations. Do you have a DNR? Do you have some of
Yeah.
those conversations? Some of us have those conversations, but to dig deeper, like if something happens to you, they're going to
Right.
ask, what are you allergic to? Are there any
Yeah.
medications you're allergic to? Are you allergic to any, foods? Are there, what are you on? Because if you're on this medication, you can't take another medication.
Right.
I mean, that's something I would have
Yeah.
never thought about, but having keeping track of that,
Yeah.
those
And I
medications.
yeah, and I happened to be the one taking her to an appointment when she first learned she was diabetic. The first two medications they had her on, she had allergic reactions. I didn't know the names of them, but I'd say, "Mom, what was it you were allergic to?" And she
Yes,
remembered.
yes,
Thankfully, she remembered. Otherwise,
yes.
another business day later, I'd have had to call her doctor. And then that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Um, Calling her doctor with HIPAA, you know, there's so much now they can't release information. And she and I have the same doctor, and that helped. One other time, I was taking my mom to the doctor. This was before her accident, but just so happens we were standing there talking, and hey, what if I need to call and request a refill for my mom's prescription? Oh, here's a form.
Mhm,
Have your mom fill it
mhm.
out. So she
Yeah,
filled it out that day in front of them, and they gave authorization for me to speak on her behalf. So with
yeah,
each new
yeah,
doctor, I make sure we have that in place. because some of them
Yeah.
just, they won't give you anything.
You
So,
know, and those are tough conversations for any of us, not just an aging parent or an aging person, but with an aging person, it's you they're getting closer to the time that that kind of information would be more likely needed. You know,
right,
so it's hard to have that. It's hard
right,
to, I'm not saying you're going anywhere, but just in case type conversation.
right. Yeah,
Um, so how did your mom, as far as now, I'm assuming she's not living with you now, that she's better.
she's
So
not.
how is that working?
It's tough sometimes. It's good that I know for aging folks, it's important for them to have their home and to keep them in their home where they're comfortable, where their history is for as long as they can.
Yeah.
And as long as she can get around, I don't have any problem with that.
Mhm.
A few of the problems that we had, though, having her go home. Um, Initially, when she went home, she was still not walking full time. She was using her wheelchair as much as she could, and she did walk with a walker. And she had a physical therapist come in and work with her. She wanted to quit. I don't want that lady coming to my house. Like, mom, she has to. And I just
Yes,
would
yes.
forget to call to cancel, or, I just
Right.
kept it going. And then, we had issues with her forgetting to take medication. So we found this pill keeper that's an electronic pill keeper. It's just a big dial, and you can
Mhm.
put all the medications. You can set it if a patient has 3 or 4 times a day medications. Hers are twice a day, morning and night. So you put in the right kind of dial and then fill it up, and then it goes off. You can set alarms on it. It goes off twice a
Awesome.
day, or 3 times, or 4 times a day.
Mhm.
So that's helped immensely. We
Mhm.
worried about her security.
Yes.
Sometimes there are still people that are salespeople going door to door, or scammers. What if
Yes.
someone comes to her front door? So we put up a ring, and it was worth the investment. I can check in on it, see who's at the door. She's not really had anybody for a really long time, not since
Yes.
the
Yes.
election's over.
Yes.
But I can talk to them for her, and they don't have to know that I'm not there.
That's right.
So
That's
security
right.
was a big issue. And
Mhm.
what else? One more thing. I just worry in general. She's living
Mhm.
alone.
Mhm.
Oh, I know the buzzer thing, the "Help me, I've fallen, I can't get up" button.
Yes, life
The
alert,
life
life alert.
alert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom had one of those, and
yeah,
she
those are
hated wearing
great.
it. She would never wear it. It was always on her
Oh,
little,
oh,
beside her chair, and
yeah,
she never wanted to wear it. But it was like,
yeah,
"Mom, if something happens to you, you want this independence, but if something
yeah.
happens."
You fall, then you can't reach it because it's hanging wherever.
Yes, because it's so yeah. Yeah, but
Well,
that's absolutely having that life alert,
right.
having
Mom's
those
good
things.
about wearing hers. I'll give her
Good.
credit for
Good.
that. That surprised me because she's kind of hard headed. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
well,
Somebody's watching that's going to tell her I said that, but she is.
well, she's trying to keep as much independence as possible, and that's difficult for you. Now, before we move on to trying to take care of a teen at the same time,
Yeah.
raise a teen, um, what have you how often do you go to see her versus, I know you talk to her every day and I know she doesn't live terribly far, but how often do you go over there to physically check on
Oh,
her?
that's another thing. Um, Last year, it wasn't so bad, but over the past year, with the additional surgery last fall, um, she doesn't do any cooking at all anymore. So we became her meals on wheels. Myself or my husband, whatever we prepare for our supper for the night, one of us will uh, dish out her serving. Now she's welcome to come here, but this winter was really hard. So, getting her out and in the snow and cold and everything, it's just impossible. So we resorted to, going ahead and fixing her a hot plate and taking it to her. She lives 4 blocks from me, for those that
Mhm.
don't know. So
Yes, yes.
um,
And
I
she is
called
in
her.
her own home. She's not in a nursing home.
Right. She's
We'll
no
make
longer
that
in a
clear.
nursing
She
home.
is in her own
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so, I mean, I talk to her at least once during the day, and it could be in the morning, afternoon, or whenever. And then I always talk to her again in the evening, that supper time run, or maybe after, have time to sit down and chat. I go over to visit her, like just visit 3 or 4 times during the week. And then we always see her either Friday night or Saturday night. We try doing a game night or something fun. Um, she's getting less and less interested in that, just more interested in visiting with us or looking at
Yes.
old scrapbooks. That's a
Yes.
big thing for her right now. Um, just something to give to her, give her our time. And and then oh, what else? What
Absolutely,
else was I
Tammy.
gonna
I
say?
know. That's why she's on here talking about this.
No.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
So
we're
when
over there a
how
lot.
does that so how does that talk to me about being in this in between generation, because on the other hand, you have a brand new high schooler, you
Yes,
have, you have a teenager that's full of hormones and changes, and
lots, lots
how
of.
are you balancing this?
Well, at first, it wasn't too bad. Like mom's initial accident was in the fall of 2019. When she was getting released from the nursing home, we literally Philip was still recovering from pneumonia, which at that time we didn't know it, but it probably was COVID.
Mhm,
And I didn't want to bring her into my house, so I'm stalling. I wanted her here, but not to bring her here to get her sick. Um,
mhm.
so she came here, and we had to make room in the extra room. We had to move some of Kenny's stuff out and into his room. Um, he had to give up the time I was given to her. For instance, I would pick him up from school or from the bus stop, and with mom here and not wanting to turn my back on her for a minute,
Yeah.
those were some sacrifices. But we had conversations, and he's a pretty understanding kid. So even though he's like, yeah, I get it, he's thinking, darn it, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, of
gets tough.
course.
And then she came back this past fall, after her heart catheter or heart, not catheterization, but her pacemaker surgery.
Pacemaker, mhm.
And by then he's older, and oh my gosh, she's here again. He loves his grandmom, but he was showing signs of really resenting her. So we pulled him aside and had a private conversation. Obviously, it was private, and said, "Look, she has no one else to take care of her. I would hope you will take care of me someday the way I'm taking care of her."
Yes,
So we had to
yes.
kind of get him in that mindset of, she's not in our way here. And she didn't stay long that time. The first time she was here a month. The second time it was just a couple of weeks. So, you know,
But
it
Kenny
wasn't
is used
that.
to being he is the baby,
He
and
is, and
he's
he's
used
kind of an
to
only
being the
child.
center of attention, and that's
Exactly.
there's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah,
you have to explain those kinds of things
yes, you
to
do with
children.
a young
Yeah.
teenager. Um, yeah, because he's kind of been an only child since the next youngest child is 11 years older and has been out on her own for quite a while. So, um, like I said, the rides to school and being picked up. And um, there were times I couldn't always, he's into bowling. There were times I couldn't make it to bowling practice. Dad was always there. If I wasn't, Dad was. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
we did all of the kids, actually. One or the other would always be there. But a lot of the times he was used to both of us being there. And if I
Yeah.
wasn't there, why can't you go? Ah, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was tough.
Yes.
And like I said, he's a pretty understanding kid. So um, we got past it, or we got through it. There
Yeah.
were like I said, he was homeschooled. I told you backstage he was doing virtual academy up until about 3 weeks ago, and I was gone a lot after mom's pacemaker was put in.
Mm-hmm.
She had a lot of follow up appointments with her eye surgeon for her cataract, her heart surgeon, um, other appointments, general doctor's appointments. She actually contracted pneumonia, and so happens she had been COVID tested before surgery, and then when she developed the pneumonia, she was checked again. So it was just pneumonia, but
Mm-hmm.
and she had that a few years ago too. So with the
Do you
pneumonia,
think that was because of the anesthesia? Because I know a lot of times that can,
that could be. And she was
yeah,
laying.
cause,
They didn't want her up because of her heart rate
then
being
lying
low.
down. And if
She
you
didn't
don't do
even
those
get up.
breathing
No,
exercises, I mean,
she
it's,
didn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So the
Okay.
hardest day, though, reliving, when you say the sandwich generation, the true definition comes to mind when she had her surgery, her heart surgery. That same day, my son was having emergency appendectomy surgery. So I'm pacing the waiting room, like literally, they were in surgery at the same time.
Wow.
But the one relief was because of COVID, I couldn't be at the hospital with mom. So I didn't feel guilty about not being there because obviously, in that case, to have to pick one, I had to be with my son.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, we've been through quite a bit, and that it's not over, and we're prepared. We still have these awkward conversations, the what ifs.
Yes.
Mom has
Yeah.
actually sat and said, maybe I should give up my house. Like, I don't know.
We got a room over here.
Yeah,
There's room for you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is that you're allowing her the dignity to come to those conclusions on her own.
yes,
And I think that that's so important for our elderly generation. I definitely know other people who have, cared for or attempted to care for as best they could, elderly parents. Some elderly parents are in a position where they need more care than the child can provide.
right.
You are in a good position to be able to do this. But if somebody were working and they're traveling an hour each way to work and this is their livelihood. And I
Right.
mean, there's just so many difficult situations, that can you're
Yeah,
blessed to be in the position you're in. I guess
I
that's what I'm
really
trying to
am. I
say,
mean, my
you
husband has
know.
been fully supportive. I couldn't ask for anyone better. If I can't, he will help out with mom. He doesn't mind. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't like it, but he doesn't mind climbing up on our roof to seal her roof or clean her gutters.
Mm,
Um, or if I was sick and couldn't make that meal run 4 blocks over, he'll take her food over to her. Um, so that's important too, because I focused on the sandwich generation, but there's the same generation, the
yeah, with your spouse, the support of your spouse. I mean, if you
right,
didn't have a supportive husband, you would
right.
not be able to I mean, it would just
No,
be so difficult.
it
Not that
would
you
be
couldn't do it, but
incredibly
it would just
difficult.
make
Yeah,
everything so much more difficult. And this is kind of a long comment that someone made, but they were talking about, um, I'll put it up, but I just wanted to pull out a couple of things that, yes, that generation is a great bridge of care and kindness for both parents and children.
Right.
And, to be that support. But this was a good question. It's like, who will shoulder that responsibility to care for their parents? Because not everybody will do that. Not everyone is willing to do that,
Right.
and
And it's not
yeah,
selfish either
and the
because
caregiving landscapes are changing
yeah,
because of absence of decent care. And that's so
right.
true.
It is.
It's so true. So I do want to kind of recap because if there is anyone, no one really responded that they are in this situation, but I know that people will watch the replay and I want them to understand. So I definitely remember about making sure that you have these tough conversations, making sure that the medications they're on, what they're
Oh
allergic
yeah.
to, just having these kinds of notes
And
and
I
being
put them
prepared is important.
in the notes on my phone just to have it at
Mhm.
my fingertips because it kept
Yes.
changing. Like the doctors were changing medications and I was having trouble keeping up.
And then what medicate, and then I'm sure you're helping her make sure that all her pills are in the right place at the right
Yes.
time, and
Yes.
you know, and so all of that is so important, um, for us to know,
Yeah.
because I just, it's not something that, my mother's been gone for a while, and I was all the way in Hawaii, for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I didn't really care for her. I wasn't in that position. But, we always had caregivers coming to our home,
Yes.
and working to take care of her as long as we could do that, because,
Right.
being in their own environment is so important,
It is. It is. And my parent has, or my mom has talked about getting an apartment. And I'm like, why would you do that? Just keep your home for as long as you can.
And then and when you can't, then you have a room. You know,
Yeah.
I
Right.
get it. But you know what? It's still that mentality of trying, to keep some independence and not be a burden. Because that's a
Right.
lot of the problem with a lot of parents. They don't ask what they need for what they need because they don't want to be a burden.
Right.
And I can't give you what you need if I don't know that you need it.
Right, right. It's hard to know. Like she was struggling with laundry and I didn't know it until I went into her laundry room to get something and oh my goodness, my mom never kept house like this. There was
Yeah.
clothes everywhere and it was
Yeah.
it was disorganized. She couldn't even seem to think to sort it. So it's like, okay,
Mhm.
I got to make sure I check on her. I got it caught up for that moment and kind of check on her now and then. Hey, is there anything you need done? We bought her one of those Roombas for to sweep her house. So
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
got that and
Yes.
doesn't have to sweep anymore. Um,
Yeah.
you
She
know.
always kept a clean house, so I know
Oh
that's
yeah.
difficult for her.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad that Kenny, you're having those conversations with Kenny, because that's
Yeah.
so important as a young man. Not only is he learning, what that looks like, you're setting a good example for what it looks like to care for an aging parent. And that's going to be important for you guys one day, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, we hope that the kids will look in on us once in a while.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
in all seriousness, yeah, you've got to make sure they understand. You can't just assume.
Yes, yes, yes. And so it's a blessing that you would be a blessing to her after all the sacrifices she has made throughout her life. And I know it wasn't easy when your father passed. And it's not easy to see your parent age. So I just appreciate you just sharing some of the wisdom that you've gained. Is there any what well let me close up by asking this. What advice would you give anyone, like if you just had to name it name it what advice would you give anyone who is in or soon to be in this situation of caring for an aging parent while having an already full and busy life, caring for teenagers, all of that? What would be the advice that you would give them?
Making sure that, first of all, that your spouse and you are on the same page. It's just not going to work if you helping your parent is going to ruin your marriage. And that's not to say that, I don't know. It's, it's,
Yeah,
I
what
can't say
advice do you
much.
give on that?
I mean,
But I got
I
you.
wouldn't, if my husband was against it, I wouldn't want to lose him, but I don't want to lose my mom. So I don't know what I would
Right.
have done. But you
Yes.
just have to have those conversations and
Mhm.
time management. Like, um, I started to say it and then I kind of got off track. My calendar for the whole month of November with mom's pneumonia and having appointments for that and seeing, all these different doctors, a pulmonologist, a cardiologist, and,
Mhm.
her MD, you know, having someone else that can step in. Like my brother kept asking, "What can I do?" And he works full time, I don't. So I found myself having a hard time saying, "Okay, I need help. I need a break."
Yeah. Because you're
So,
thinking, I'm working part-time and you're working full-time, so I don't want to put that on you.
right. So I
But
didn't want to put that on him. I mean,
but
he
you need
had
it.
just vacation days to take, but there became a like flex time or something. There was a couple of times I just asked him, "Hey, can you take mom to the doctor?" And it wasn't for any other reason, but I needed to catch up with my housework and my responsibilities with work because
Yes.
even though I only teach 2 hours a week, I do a lot of prep work or grading, that had to be
Mhm.
done in between. So
Yes.
some of that was falling behind. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
being not afraid to speak up and reach out. I even had a cousin that said, "Hey, if you ever need help, just let me know." Of course, she's the one that right now is down, but
But
just,
but using that support system and not
right.
being afraid to ask for the help you need.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
That's so important. That's so important. Well, I appreciate you, Holly. I know this wasn't like, last week we talked about, we had Coach Erica Salee on here and we were
Yeah,
talking about yeah, she was
right,
great and we were talking about, dispelling myths about self-care and now we're on
right.
the other opposite side of the spectrum today
Yeah,
like sometimes that takes away from your self-care because I've got to figure out a way to take care of my family and my household,
exactly.
my parents, my aging parent, my teenage son, my husband. I have a job.
Yeah,
I have students that I have to,
right.
counsel and catch up on their work and
Yeah.
tutor. So I mean, it's a lot. So I do appreciate you being willing to just share some of these things that you learned the hard way.
Yeah, and it's ironic. Like when we talked about it a few months ago, I thought, well, that's not going to be that big of a subject. There's really not that much to talk about. And then over time, the more I thought about it, I thought, yeah, it's a pretty hefty topic.
It's a hefty topic. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
heavy. So, I do appreciate. I want to tell the guests, and if you're watching replay, I just want to thank you all for coming in because this is the point that not all the wisdom we gain is this happy rah rah you can do it.
Yeah.
No, some of it is just hey, you got to have these difficult
Yeah.
conversations and you
There's a
got to
lot of
learn time
tears.
management
Yeah.
and you got to,
Yeah.
this
For
is
sure.
necessary,
Yeah.
and so I do appreciate it. And we will be having you back on again to
Oh,
talk
okay.
about some budgeting and some finances of,
Okay.
something to do with,
Sounds great.
yeah, something to do with all that money and numbers and stuff.
I
That ain't my
myself
jam.
am not an expert, but I'm a
But
good coach.
but you can coach us a little bit. You can have some tips and
Yeah.
tricks. So we
There are.
definitely look
There's
forward to
some to share.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Holly. I'm gonna put you in the
Well, thank you.
backstage. Don't go
All right.
anywhere. I'll be with
Okay.
you. I want to share some things with the audience. and then we're gonna start to shut it down. So I'll see you in a bit.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Thank
much.
you.
All right. So I thank you guys so much for joining us. I know it was a bit of a heavier topic than we normally have, you know. Well, I shouldn't say normally because we do. We've talked about some pretty heavy topics on here. So I do appreciate all your help. And yes, I'm so thankful for Holly, not just as a friend and as a sister, but I am very thankful for her being willing to share the wisdom. So I wanted to end a few minutes early because I have some great announcements. First of all, I do want to tell you that if you are, let me get to my where I need to be. I wanted to tell you that I truly believe that if you're alive, you have wisdom to share that can help someone else. I don't just say that at the beginning of my show. I truly believe that. And so, because of that, I'm going to tell you I need guests. I need you. I need you to be willing to share your wisdom. It's all you're doing is coming on here and having a conversation. You and I are having a conversation, and others are being part of it, and they're being blessed by it, and they're getting wisdom that they may need or that they can share with others that may need it. So, what I'd like to ask you to do, please consider being on the show. Um, and all you need to do is go there to the email that's on the screen, Donna at donnasalee.com. Don't forget those two L's and two E's, Donna at donnasalee.com. In the subject line, put live segment, and then tell me a little bit about what you'd like to talk about and what wisdom you'd like to share. If you have a segment idea, a conversation you'd like to have, you'd like to hear, let me know. Please feel free to let me know. Okay. If you are not following the Life Destiny Solutions Facebook group, please consider joining. It is a private group, so you do have to join. So go ahead and consider, and it is Solutions, SOUL. And you can find me on Facebook. You can also find me on IG. I post more on Facebook. I'm trying to get better about the IG, but y'all come on through and holler at your girl. Let me know what you'd like to talk about. All right. And then I also would like to let you know you can find out more about me. You can find out more about Life Destiny Solutions and my coaching. And there at my website, donnasalee.com. And while you're there, you can download my totally free guide, 5 steps to begin living a life you truly love. You're not going to have 5 steps on one page. It is really some good information and good tips to begin living a life you truly love. So, my announcements I would like to make are one, there's two. One is the Life Destiny Solutions Book Club is starting on Sunday. Okay. And this is the book we're reading, Best Self, Be You Only Better by life coach Mike Bayer. Please, you can find out the reading schedule, and you can find out get the Zoom link on the Facebook page. If you are joining through IG or you are on YouTube Live, just let me know. I can send you the Zoom link and I'll send you the schedule. Okay. The schedule is on IG, but if you would like to join, you still have time to order your book before Sunday. I ordered this book on one day, got it the next. Okay. So you still have time to join. Men and women everyone is allowed to come. I just ask that you come, you be on time, and you'll have the reading schedule, and I promise you'll be blessed by the conversations we have in our book club. Okay, so that's announcement one. Announcement two. I am so thrilled and blessed to have realized one of my dreams, and that's to be an author. And this is just the beginning. So the pre-sale of the book collaboration that I was blessed to be a part of. Now it is a collaboration. I am one of 11 authors that wrote in this book. So you have a variety of situations, and it is called I'm Breaking My Silence. So people are breaking their silence about all kinds of things. Okay. So the pre-sale is going to start Monday, the 15th. And although I only wrote a chapter in the book, I have created a very detailed, beautiful companion e-workbook to help you work through and go through the healing process that I talked briefly about in my chapter. Okay. I promise you'll love it. I have also created an audible of my chapter so you can hear me read my chapter and you can feel the intention and the emotion with which I wrote my chapter. Okay. So all of these things will go on sale Monday. And I promise you're going to get the best deals the 15th through the 30th of March during pre-sale. I will be posting a link soon for you to go and you to order. So for those of you who have asked me about ordering, I will be posting some information closer to Monday about how you can go and order the book, order the e-workbook, order the Audible. For my Audibles, you can, if you want me to sign and personalize it, you can order that too. So y'all come on, be ready, be prepared. And I'd like for you to come out and celebrate right here on Wisdom, Women, and Wine on Thursday, March 25th, the last Thursday of this month. And you'll still have a few days to order if you haven't ordered by that point or you haven't pre-sale ordered for the pre-sale. Come out and celebrate with me. That hour is going to be a book launch party. I'm going to have some of the other authors dropping in to talk about writing the chapter, to talk about what breaking their silence meant to them. Okay. So you'll get to know some of the other authors, just a few of the other authors, and they're going to drop in. And I'm going to have some little giveaways, some little discounts that I'm going to offer. So you'll get even more of a discount. So, but you have to be present to win. Come on out. Okay. All right. I love you guys. I thank you for your support and appreciate everything that you guys do. I appreciate your feedback. Please continue to give feedback and come on the show. Okay. All right, y'all. You know what I say. Dream big, but live bigger. This is how I've upgraded that. Dare to dream big, but have the audacity to live even bigger. I will see you next week, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good night.